Taking a closer look at my model, I've basically been designing this since, well, a couple of years ago, basically, when I saw the photo. So I quickly sort of drew on SketchUp, Google SketchUp, a 3D model of what I thought it would look like and measurements wise, etc., because I still had all the data from working on the big blue bullet behind it. So I could modify a chassis block to scale and then build this Q1 Pacific around it. So I started about a year and a bit ago designing it all, then refining it. Then I sort of came back to it at the end of 2018 with a little bit more information, and that information worked out in this. Basically, I found this on eBay, and on the front of it was the Q1 Pacific Bulleid didn't build, and that is the original model, which is in the National Railway Museum. And this magazine is older than I am, with 1982 in October, and there is a good article in this magazine which basically goes through and tells you about this interesting looking beast. Basically, there's a couple more shots on the other side. I have scanned all this in and put it on my Flickr channel, so or Flickr account I should say. So if you want to read any of this, you can do. So basically, after reading a bit about that and seeing a little bit more clearer as to the shape and size, etc., I basically took bits of the Q1, designed it around the cab, and designed it as I could see it. So I didn't have any drawings. All I had was pictures, and I'm miles away from the National Railway Museum to go and actually have a look. So I basically designed it on SketchUp, and I could modify it accordingly. There's still a few bits I would like to clean up later on if I ever build another one. So this section here needs to be further forward. This section needs to be a little bit longer, and the cab floor needs to be slightly lower because all the pipe work's higher up off the deck rather than being quite close to the trailing axle. But other than that, it's quite close to what the model showed. I actually moved the safety valves, instead of being in a line, I actually put them as it would have been possibly on the Merchant Navy or West Countries. So as I said, I have sort of did a bit of research on this, and I believe this is basically an early version of the West Country or Battle of Britain class logos. I don't know if that's correct, but I think that's what it is. So this is basically running on a Hornby West Country original style chassis. So it's got the chain driven valve gear and all that kind of stuff. And the rest of it, all the body on here, this is all 3D printed from the front to the back. It's been printed in two sections, so that's section 1, front to back, or front to the end, and then second section from here back to the cab. Took 50 hours to print. It wasn't very quick. I printed the steam pipes and the chimney on its own, just so that we can get the orientation right. And then we've got the Q1 tender, which I purchased from Brian at 247. And then I managed to find a very expensive detailing pack to put the brake rigging on. The buffers on the front are from Markets. The steps were from RT Models. I handmade the drain cocks out of some brass wire. And the front section of this is extremely fragile. As you can see, there's nothing really there supporting it. If I zoom in a little bit for you, you can have a look. There is nothing really there. So this basically slots into the front of the chassis, screw underneath, and that is just about held on to a little section underneath the smoke box. There's nothing really supporting it. Had to modify the cylinders. because these were for obviously the spam can casing, so I filled that in and added a little bit. Not sure if you can see it on this video, but I've put all the rivets on with transfers basically, so Archer rivet transfers. You can get from the O.V.S, or there's a few places you can buy them over here. So I could work out where the rivets would have gone. Safety valves from markets as well. There is a slightly modified trailing axle to actually make it fit round the ash pan, which you can just about see. For number 21C201, I had to keep the original Bulleid style of numbering, so I went with that instead. And we just changed the end of it from discussions with various people. Hasn't run yet, so hopefully I can show you running in a little while and add it on the end of this video. It also has a Hornby backhead from American Navy as well, or West Country, I can't remember what it came out of, but I've purchased some spares which I've now fitted. But it's quite a mean looking beast. Interesting, not the prettiest, but nonetheless unique, just like how Bulleid probably envisaged. So hopefully you'll see it running shortly, and if I can have some time I might be able to get it on a layout somewhere and run it there as well.